Well, anyway, welcome to the Writer's Life, the place where you get the sight, sound, smell, taste of my personal writer's life, and where you get the truth about my writer's life, anyway, and you get the truth from Troy Silence of the Lamberts. Troy Lambert, everybody, best-selling author and editor, and just total finger on the pulse man when it comes to writing and everything else. We were just talking in the green room a little bit about Kickstarters, because I'm running one for Chase Baker and the Nazi Time Machine, which is coming out. Actually, I have the hardcovers. Those are everything's ready. Everything's ready to go. And I actually handed personally, and this is before anything is finished, because there's still 40 hours to go or so. I actually handed one of the people who wanted a signed hardcover personally yesterday, because the person lives locally. So that was kind of cool. And I gave her another, I guess you get a paperback too, and a hat and like coffee cup and all that stuff. So anyway, it was the first Kickstarter I actually really finished, and Troy helped me out with it, and it was 200% just about.
Just about. And you may get that in the last 40 hours. We found with True Pulp that there were a lot of last minute supporters that literally waited till the last minute to hit support. And I don't know if that's because sometimes people are waiting to see if things fund and waiting to see how things go, or if it's just kind of the nature of Kickstarter and people procrastinating and putting it off, or whatever the case may be.
I do think I ran mine too long.
Yes.
And people kind of got sick of it.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
Well, and part of it too is that your marketing gets tiresome after a while. I mean, the only reason that True Pulp, we still ran it too long, but the only reason that it worked okay for that is we had 13 different authors to introduce, 13 different stories. So there was always something new. When you're running a Kickstarter for one thing, it's Chase Baker and the Time Machine. And unless you tell us the whole story over all your marketing stuff over 30 days, and by then we know the story. You know what I mean?
There's only so much you can do.
There's only so much you can do. So I think that running shorter ones, and Dean Wesley Smith talked to me about this when we ran ours, about running.
He's an expert.
Run their campaigns shorter and tighter. And I completely agree with that after running one. Like, hey, this was... Because really, True Pulp was my first Kickstarter start to finish that I've done. I've threatened to do other ones before, but haven't actually done them. You know what I mean?
That's what I did. I was the same way. I had done 3 before, but never finished them. I think one, I went live for like an hour, and I'm like, this isn't going to work, and I killed it.
Yeah. And I'm a part of a Kickstarter group on Facebook, and I see this all the time, is people that quit early in the game, and because they go, well, it's not going to work. And I'm like, well, you have to give it a chance to work, first of all. And second of all, what I do know is that you get a reputation. Like when you're on Kickstarter, people can see how many Kickstarters you backed and how many Kickstarters that you have launched and how many of those that you've launched have been successful. And the biggest thing people want to see, I think, is they want to see things finish. They want to see you be successful, right? So even if successful is $500, that's the start. Because that's where people start. Like they start with $500 and 10 or 12 backers, and they win, right?
Right.
And then they get up where we were, where we had 13 different authors. We have a bunch of people doing marketing, right? Stuff like that.
Right.
And then you get to the point where, like Johnny Truant's latest one, where he had 300 backers and was, into the 20,000 range,
Wow.
But you don't get there by you don't get there by starting. Your first Kickstarter campaign isn't going to look like that, more than likely. Like you haven't built an audience that is interested in Kickstarters. Even if you built an email list like you and I have, not all of those people are interested in Kickstarter.
Right. Or even know what it's all about. I found that
just want to buy books. Yeah, they just want to buy books.
I sent it over to like my college buddies, thinking that, like this is when I first started, and thinking that they'd be all over it, right? but they're like, oh, what is this? Like, is this like a crowdfunding thing? And I'm like, no, it's not crowdfunding. It's, you actually get
Yeah.
something for, I said, so long as I meet my initial goal, which I did, you get, you get limited edition books, you get limited edition this, limited edition that, merch, all sorts of stuff. I said, it's a new type of store, a new way to buy books and stuff like that. But
Right.
they're still
So
kind of like,
I mean, it kind of is crowdfunding, but it's crowdfunding with
right,
real rewards. It's not
real
just, hey,
rewards.
give me some money so I can do whatever the case may be, whatever the cause is, right?
Rebuild my house, or
It's
yeah,
not charity like a
right,
lot of the GoFundMe's are. It's commerce. It's a
right,
business transaction. You give me
right,
money and I give you something in return, and hopefully
right,
something that has value to you. I mean, we had 60 some people get our ebook, right? Out of all the supporters, because some people got more than one thing or whatever. So 60 some people got our ebook, right?
right,
So what's unique about the ebook? Well, it has a unique ebook cover. Is the content going to be the same when it comes out to the regular market? Yeah, except for the cover, and except that that's going to be 4 months from now. You know what I mean?
right.
So they got it
Yep,
early. So there's tangible benefits to supporting a Kickstarter most of the
yep,
time that are just things you're not going to get somewhere else. Okay,
right,
awesome. But you know what I mean? Like it's that exclusivity and the timing as well that gives people the incentive to back your Kickstarter.
right,
So it's partly confusion about what it is, but it's also just an audience. Like there's an audience that will follow you on Kickstarter and will back every
right,
Kickstarter that you do. And
right,
they will probably never buy a book of yours off of Amazon or direct from your website.
right,
They
right,
will only
right.
back
This
your
is what
Kickstarters. you know
Right. This
yeah.
is what I didn't realize, was that Kickstarter is its own ecosystem,
Hmm.
and it's a whole new market, and that you have to start from the bottom and start working your way up there. And I didn't realize that. I just thought, like,
Well,
you show
yeah,
it to
at
people,
first
and
it took me a while to understand it, and really that's what I was waiting for. That's why I really didn't pull any of the trigger on ones in the past. Well, because
right.
I didn't understand what I was doing. So I'm like, I don't understand
Neither did I.
what I'm doing. How am I going to be successful at it?
Right.
And so then I had to go, okay, well, what I need to do is develop a list of people who are actually interested in Kickstarter, right?
Right.
And actually interested in our projects. And yeah, I can still email my regular list and I can still put stuff on social media and all that kind of stuff. But the more I can
Right.
cultivate that list
Right.
that's
Right.
for Kickstarter, the more I know that we can at least be minimally successful
Right.
and then go from there, right?
Right. Right.
I mean, I had people tell me when we first started ours that we were not going to fund. There was no way we were going to fund that Kickstarter. And then
Really,
I was like,
for our
yeah,
True Pulp.
for a true pulp. And then I'm like, well, now we're 250% or 200, we end up 270% or whatever the
Yeah,
case
we
may
were up
be.
there. Yeah.
And we had pretty lofty goals, to be
Yes,
honest.
we
I
did.
mean, we had pretty lofty goals. So I'm like, look, and pretty decent, rewards and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Hmm.
did I make a ton of profit off of of the True Pulp Kickstarter? No.
Right. No.
As far as ROI is concerned and percentage is concerned. No,
Right.
but what did I do? Well, I paid authors early, which gives them an incentive to be a part of other Kickstarters and also gives other authors the example. If we
Right.
do a Kickstarter, you're getting paid. Well,
Right.
that's a big deal. Nobody gets paid
Yep.
on an anthology, as you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that type of thing. The other part of it is that what I'm seeing a trend for, and this is kind of comes to what we're going to talk about anyway, is I see a trend again. We used to do this a lot in the beginning, as you know, but again, I see a trend towards a lot of authors working together.
Yes.
And the reason I think is, and I was thinking about this morning. I was talking to Michael Evans, the guy. He's involved in all kinds of things, but he's created this really cool platform for making AI type movies, AI generated
Right.
movies.
Yes, you
But
were
it's
telling me
still
about that.
there's a lot of work in the background of that. Like you can't just throw a prompt in Chat GPT and it spits out a movie, or even Google
Right.
VO3, or the video creation platforms. Like it
Right.
just doesn't work that way, because AI doesn't work that way. So what you're basically doing is the AI is doing a bunch of the work for you and creating character profiles and images for characters and shots and things like that. But you have to reorganize those, right? Well, in order to do that, you have a choice, right? I can become a filmmaker as well as an author, and I can go through and arrange all the shots and edit the movie and do all that stuff and then have AI spit it out for me, right? Or I can hire somebody to edit that movie for me. Say, hey, I've done all this. Here's all the shots created. Here's all this stuff. Now, what I want you to do is make this into something cool. Or I can hire somebody at least as a story consultant and say, hey, does this work the way a movie should? You know, that type of thing, right? Because you can't do everything, you know. And so I think authors collect together because, you know, you got one guy who's super good at marketing and he says, hey, man, I can get us on the USA Today bestseller list if we pull 12 of us together and everybody throws in a book. You know, kind of like the 12, the way that works.
That's what we did. Yeah.
And it's the same type of thing. Like everybody has their different strengths. So if somebody's a good editor and formatter, okay, you edit and format the books, you market the books, you go get the authors to be a part of this group or whatever. And that's kind of how publishers were initially supposed to be formed, is everybody's stronger when they're together. Just when corporations took it over, it wasn't that way anymore. And I think we kind of duplicated that with indie publishing for a while, and then kind of went away from it. Everybody was doing their own thing, and I think we're coming back to where people are cooperating again more and being like, "Hey, let's do stuff together," because we have more power together.
I mean, just incidentally, like I wanted to do more with the 12, but and this is just human nature, and this is sociology 101, Max Weber stuff, but 80% of the work always falls upon like 20% of the crowd. You know what I mean? And it always ends up that way. And so like, you know, and there were just slackers that did shit, but still got the New York Times moniker and the USA Today and all that. And, you know, and they knew who they were. They just didn't, you know, and that's the problem. And so like, they were like, no more after this. When this was done, that's it, you know, or whatever. But
and that's the way publishers work too. And this is the reason corporations have taken over. I mean, still with a publisher, Thomas and Mercer, most of their income comes from their top 10% authors of their authors, and the other 90% don't make them any money, or in some cases cost them money. Right? I mean, and we both know this because we've been in the industry a long time. But sometimes it's good for people to hear it, that like when you work together with someone or with a group of people, it's good to find the doers and the ones that saw it with true pulp. I've seen it with every project. There are certain people that promote. I mean, we had one that we called the 7, and I wanted to do more with the group, but the vast majority of them didn't promote anything. And so it's like sales are reliant on one person's network instead of 7, and there's only so much that one person can do, you know. And then from there it doesn't work. I mean, you and I both have decent audiences, so we saw it with our first book blast. I mean, you know, we shot up there in the pulp thriller category or whatever.
Yeah, right away.
You know, off, straight off the bat. Now, I mean, how long are we going to sustain that without ads? Well, not very long, but it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? In that particular case.
And as far as I'm concerned, like we haven't even really started on that yet. We haven't even really started the first book blast. You know, which I assume
we barely touched the surface on the first one. And it's still shot up there in part because we have audiences that are waiting for the next thing that we're going to write. You know, which not everybody has that, but part of it is combining those audiences, saying, well, okay, now they have an audience of 2 authors, but 2 authors who have a following, whatever the case may be, where in some cases you're going to get those people that have no following or very little following or just don't do much, and then you just, you know, you don't get a lot out of having them be a part of something, which is unfortunate. It's too bad. You know?
I find myself just like you, like going more and more back to collaboration. Like you're my main collaborator right now. But like I spoke with Ben Sobiak today, and I'm like, when are you going to write another Chase Baker? Because he does the money stuff, just like sort of like you handle that end of it and all that sort of stuff, because I suck at it. But and you know, you get a check every 6 months, and he's like, all right, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to write another Chase Baker. You know, so like
Right.
franchising that out a little bit. I haven't done a lot of it, but it can be, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, yeah.
It's another income stream.
Our whole book blast thing is the whole idea behind it is that other people can contribute as well. You
That's
know,
right.
one month it could be Troy Lambert and Tom Schreck or whatever.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it doesn't make any difference because it's just creating an imprint, a place where we can collaborate and write some fun short stories that are quick things for people to read, you know, little short novellas or whatever that we're pumping out. But that also we have an opportunity to do other stuff with. You know, at some point we can do audio. At some point we can do other stuff with them as momentum builds. And again, this is something we can put on a Kickstarter. Hey, next year you're going to get, you know, in the next year you're going to get 10 different book blasts, and we're not even going to tell you who's going to be in them or what the themes are going to be.
Right.
But you're going to get 10. If you do the subscription model, you're going to get 10 different ones. If you don't do the subscription model, here's the first 3 that we've already created, and hey, you know, go forth, do wonderful things, enjoy them, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm very excited about doing the Kickstarter for the book blast, because you know, we'll be working together on it, and like, you know, for sure we'll fund, and for sure I think you know, could even be bigger. You know,
I think we can do some great stuff, and I think we can end up, like, in the long run, like when we launched True Romance, now that we have a proven model for bringing all those authors in, then I think we can fund even more than we did with the original True Pulp, simply because we've got more experience and we've got authors that we can say, hey, here's the results. You're going to get paid. So the more you promote, the more money you make off of this thing before it even goes into publication. That's you know, that type of thing. So I think there's definitely some opportunities here. And I think the key is, like, there are people that have teams behind them, and they're, you know, like Dean and Chris are releasing, you know, 10 Kickstarters a year. Well, holy crap, dude. Each Kickstarter is so much work. You could be working 70 hours a week, and then I'm like, when am I going to write my books? You know what I mean? So I think that's a part of it, is pacing yourself and doing things at a pace that you can sustain, but at the same time that gives people, you know, we could do 2 or 3 true Kickstarters a year and a couple book blast ones a year, and you know, call it good.
absolutely.
And you know, and we could be making real revenue from those, but as well, on the reader side, you're getting something unique from us every 3 to 6 months. You're getting something completely different from us. And that's sustainable for people to support too. There's some people that run Kickstarters so much, like, I like their stuff, I can't support their Kickstarters. I can't support a Kickstarter every month for their stuff and then support other ones for other people's stuff. I mean, there's people that are addicted to Kickstarter like they are to eBay and do that, but I'm like, I can't do that. Most people can't. So you're going to wear your readers out if you do it too often. It's my personal opinion. So back off, slow down, but provide good stuff. You know,
I think even Dean said in a recent blog, we got to get him on one of these times, but in a recent blog, he said, like, when you're first entering the Kickstarter Rama, maybe do 2 or 3 in a year, you know, and then pick it up a little bit, you know, as you start to get used to the ecosystem and people start noticing you, and you start developing a following, then maybe you can pick it up a little bit, you know. And I think that's what they did, you know.
Exactly. Well, and then that enables them. Once you had enough successful ones in a year, now they have a team that helps them build each one. So it's not like he's going in and building the merch for each one, or building even the language and stuff. They've got a template and a formula that they follow for each one, and things that they offer on a regular basis, and, you know, things that they have to offer that no one else has to offer. Because then you can offer rewards, like, for instance, one of the True Romance rewards can be, you can get editions of the True Pulp from the original, from the first one. the Kickstarter editions. Why not? Well, Kickstarter is the only place you can get those, but we didn't say True Pulp was the only Kickstarter that you could get those through. In all the true Kickstarters, we can offer the back Kickstarter things as well. Well, once we've done 3 of those, now you've got 3 past books to offer as well as the current one. So you can offer packages, you can offer deals that nobody else can offer because they don't have access to it. So I think he's right on with, you know, you build a following, but you also build the things that you have to offer. You build the things that people want. You build an ecosystem within Kickstarter, and then you can do 5, 6, 7 a year and be successful at it. You know, because not everybody's going to back every single one, but you know, that works out perfect.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And if you have, I found one of the reasons, you know, the Chase Baker has been successful in, you know, as my first one solo was super fans. And I got like emails from super fans, like, what do you need? You know, like, you know, and can you, and I asked one right straight up, can you up your, you know, by the,
up your pledge.
Up your pledge to the main one, and he's sometimes around the area with his job, and I said, I'll hand you all your stuff and we'll have a beer together. He was like, I'm all in on that, you know. So like these little deals go on behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. And those developing those super fans, especially the Kickstarter super fans, that I mean, you think about, like, people are like so amazed by Brandon Sanderson's thing, and I'm like, I'm not that amazed by it at all because the man already has super fans. And those super fans were like, you did what? And you have special editions of what? Whatever it costs, I want that. They weren't asking how much it was on the Kickstarter. They were just figuring out how they could pay enough to get everything they wanted from it. You know,
I mean,
that's the kind of fans that you need, right?
That's right. This is going way out, but the Beatles just announced they're going to do the Anthology 4, and it's actually all done already. But they're not doing that just to like please the fans. Like they got some money changer that's doing the calculations. Like, for sure, we're going to make X amount of money, for sure. And 10, 15, 20 years from now, it'll be Anthology 10. You know, and they'll be gone. They'll be dead and gone. And like, you know,
it won't matter because, and this is partly like we talk about legacy, right? If you leave the right type of legacy behind, then, you know, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, well, longer for both of us, you know, by the time we're gone, it'll be another 20 years or 30 years or whatever, however much time we got left. But, you know, after that, our kids, after we're gone, will be able to say 10 years down the road, I'm releasing another Troy Lambert anthology or whatever,
that's what this is all about,
of the stuff that's there, and they can pay for their kids' college with that or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? So it's partly about legacy and the ability to be like the Beatles and have a following that still continues after you're gone. But, you know, part of it too is just being able to, like, the more material you have, the more you have to offer with a Kickstarter, the more you can say, hey, you want this Chase Baker, but if you, let's say you haven't read the other Chase Bakers before, here's how you can get all the other ones too at the same time. You know what I mean? So there's always that growing and adding as you go along. And really, like, we're not trying to make millions of dollars. I mean, I'd be happy if we did $1 million Kickstarter like Brandon Sanderson and made a whole ton of money.
That would be nice.
Absolutely. But like, that's really a big part of the reason that we do it is we want to give fans something unique that they can hang on to. I mean, I should have those books, the books that we're sending out to be signed by all the authors, that relatively soon, within the next few days, right? And then we'll start sending those out around to all the authors, hopefully by December, before Christmas. Those people will have those in hand that are signed by all the True Pulp authors, right? That leaves them something tangible that, like, you aren't going to get that somewhere else. You're not going to just find that, you know? So, I mean, I think it's about offering the fans something that nobody else has, or that few other people can get, if you just help support us in our careers, which we want to continue for a long time. So
Yep. Yeah, it's a great. I see. Like I avoided it for the longest time. Like it's so much work. It's so much work, but it's like once you get the first one down, then
mm-hmm.
you can kind of borrow from it, and
And you get a
certainly.
system.
Right, you get a system. I mean, this is where AI comes in handy too, because for graphics and things like that, much easier than it's been in the past.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think Kickstarter is really just kind of the start, if you will. But I think there'll be, because Kickstarter is not big on AI and AI generated projects, but I think there's going to be some cool AI generated stuff coming down the pike. And I think that there will be platforms that are designed to crowdfund those things that are going to be very successful. So I think as creators and storytellers and authors, we just need to be aware that Kickstarter is a platform, and it's a good one for getting our work out there. But there's going to be more. This is just this is a new way that musicians, and we're always just a little behind the music industry, but that musicians have used to create fandom and to raise money for their different albums and stuff like that. And authors are just following in their footsteps, and we're doing the same thing. And there's going to be all kinds of options for us going forward. So
right. Is this why a lot of those old bands are still touring, and they can hardly stand up? Some of them, and because they're just not making the money off the product off the product.
Some of them is that they're not making the money off the royalties anymore. The truth is, some of them just, like a lot of old authors, they just don't want to quit. I mean, like, this is, you think about this is what we've done and this is what we live for. Like, it's different. If you're an NFL player, you expect to have a second career.
Done. Yeah, like in 5 years.
Because you're in your 30s, you expect to have a second career. And if you're not super popular and don't have the voice for it and don't go into broadcasting. Or like, Joe Black, you go into broadcasting anyway, and maybe you just shouldn't be there. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But anyway, I mean, you know what I mean. But still, like, what else are we going to do, really? Like, what are we going to retire and do? Are we going to retire and have a second career?
Never going to retire.
Same thing with musicians. Like, are they going to retire and have a second career? No, most of them are going to be like Ozzy. They're going to play a show a freaking week before they pass away. And we're all going to be clapping for them as a result. You know what I mean? So because they're making lifelong fans. I mean, think about that. Like, if some of those hair bands in the 80s, would we ever think that they would make lifelong fans? Not necessarily, but then in some cases, we are their lifelong fans now. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting that but yeah, I think that's part of it, is that they just don't want to retire. Like, what are they going to do? What are they going to retire and do? Sit around and do nothing? Do what? I mean, I've seen someone semi-retire, and then they become producers, or they manage session musicians or whatever. They don't ever really just get out of that game entirely.
No, it's the artist. I mean, you're not, Picasso, his famous last words, he's like, what can I do? What can I get for you, honey? And he's just like pencil and paper, and then he died.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's exactly it. Most of us are going to be propped up with our computer, trying to put in one last story, the end before the end. I mean,
Jim Harrison died writing a poem. Another author found him. Robert B. Parker face planted in his typewriter, his manual typewriter. I mean, that's just two examples. That's the way I want to go. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just interesting, because I'm still like an old soul when it comes to this business. I'm still like a traditional, still stuck in the 20th century in some ways. Some people would say no, Vin's really following all the proper trends, or he's adjusting and surviving and all that. But I still want to just be writing if it were at all possible.
Yeah, I think that's the writer's dream. And here's what So I was talking to Stacy about this the other day when we were doing our podcast, and I said, here's the thing: what AI is really good for is letting you do less of the things that you don't want to do.
Right.
Not because
That's
so many
true.
businesses are using AI so that you can do more. And I'm like, no. In writing, what I want to use AI for is automating some of these processes that take a bunch of my time and that I really don't like doing anyway, so that I can write. I can go back to doing the things, so I can do less and go back to writing more and doing the things that I love to do more, because my social media posts were created automatically and I review the drafts and then publish them and I'm done. You know what I mean? Instead of me agonizing over what am I going to put on social media this week or whatever, you know what I mean? Instead, you're speeding up that process, but that frees you up to do less in that area so you can do more of the things that you love. That's what I want to use AI for. I don't want AI to write my books for me. I want AI to do my marketing for me so I can write more books myself.
Right. So, oh God forbid if we had them write our books, I think we'd be out of business.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other discussion. I mean, it's funny, and we'll close after I just kind of go off on that tangent. But I was talking to Michael Evans about that because he's created this machine that basically creates movies for you, right? But it doesn't. It creates certain aspects of the movie, and then you have to add the human touch and finish it, because what makes a Christopher Nolan film is not the shots. It's how he arranges the shots and produces the shots and directs the shots and makes them into what they are. And it's the same thing with writing. Like, you can have an AI write a draft for you, but if you don't go back in there and fix it and rearrange it and make it yours, then it's no longer, first of all, it's no longer your book. And second of all, it's no longer any good. So I'm like, we still need, the reason AI is not going to replace us as humans is not because AI can't put a sentence together. It's because AI can't put the sentences together the way we put them together. A Vincent Zandri book is a Vincent Zandri book because Vincent Zandri wrote it.
Yep.
So,
you
know, anyway.
We're almost done, but I mean, do you foresee a future, I don't know how many years from now, but where there'll be like the brand new Humphrey Bogart movie, that his estate will allow them to use his voice and image, and there'll be like a new Humphrey Bogart movie.
Well, so maybe. I mean, what I'm seeing is like right now, even so, like I have licensed my voice to 11 Labs. So if you want to create an audiobook with my voice, you don't have to come pay me to do an audiobook, but you're going to pay 11 Labs
quite a bit of money,
some money, and I'm going to get some money out of it in order to use my voice, right? But you can use my voice as a voiceover in your commercial or whatever the case may be, right? So I think there's going to be some things like that where people are going to license their image and their voice to be used, and they're going to get paid for it, and their heirs are going to get paid for it, but they're going to license that for use. I think the difficulty with creating a new Humphrey Bogart film is that, first of all, a lot of the younger people don't even know who it is, so they don't care.
That's true too. Good point.
Right? They're like, "Oh, you came out with a new Humphrey Bogart film. Who is Humphrey Bogart? And why do I care?" Second of all, the thing that's going to be different is the type of filmmaking we do today is not the same as that type of filmmaking. So you could make another Alfred Hitchcock film, even in a new version of The Birds, but the new version of The Birds, as we all know from all the remakes that are happening in Hollywood, is not the same as the old one, because the movie making, the filmmaking and stuff is not the same. The direction is not the same. We don't treat movies the same way. And even the same styles that we had in those movies don't resonate anymore. So do I think that that's possible? Yeah. Do I think we'll see a lot of that? No, I don't think we'll see a lot of that, because I think it's not about the actors as much as it is about the direction and the script and the type of filmmaking, the directing. And so it may have Humphrey Bogart make an appearance in it, but I don't think it's going to be what we would call a Humphrey Bogart film.
You heard it here first, folks. See, I'd be the type to say, like, oh, yeah, for sure. 5 years from now,
could be wrong, but I don't think so.
All right. Well, good to know. Anyway, you guys, look for the first book blast. What are we calling it again? Oh, Writing.
What is the first one? Writing into the Dark. Writing into the Dark is the first one, and then the second one is writing for television, and then the third one is going to be.
Is that the bullet
it's going to be
holes one?
something in bullet holes.
I'm almost done with my story. I'm working on it.
I haven't decided a name on it. Yeah, I'm almost done with that story too. I'm working on editing the television one, and then I'm almost done with that one because I've had that story and it's been in the back burner for a little while. So I'm like, now I finally get an excuse to create it.
You'll see links down below. Also, a link to Troy's website, which is a really good website. And I'm going to have a link to, since you have a couple of days, I'll have a link to the Chase Baker Kickstarter. You got like 40 hours to go. But
yeah, do it.
Back it because you really will love it. You'll have a lot of good stuff there. And if we're only $20 away from a stretch goal where you actually get the Writing into the Dark book blast. So it's all up to you guys.
Exactly.
All right, Troy, man. Good talking to you, and I'll talk to you later on.
All right.
Thanks, brother.